our 2025 Short Film Festival for broadcast, independent production, and television. It's good to see such a nice turnout here today. Is the audio all good?
Yeah.
Bruno, we're all good on the audio over there? Cool. So we have 7 films today from our broadcast group, and plus one potential one from a first-year student. So that's an interesting turnout that we've got. I've watched all the films already, so I've got all the spoilers. But hopefully you guys haven't seen too much of your own work other than sharing a little bit with your own group. That way you get to share in the fun today. We're good with the lighting and everything as well? All right, excellent. So we're going to get started in just a second. I want to mention briefly that the trailers that you saw there, our coming attractions, are soon to come to theater shots. Those were all an audio exercise that the students did in advanced post-production. It stems back from when I was a student in Conestoga, and my teacher, Tim Gable, I'm sure some of you know him, he had set up a exercise for us, and we were to take a short film clip and then redo all the audio. So what you saw with the short trailers that we saw there, all the audio got stripped out, and the students then had to take their own approach with the audio and remix specific trailers. So a little bit of a trailer parody, a very fun exercise, and I think the students all did a great job with it. So I just want to give a quick rundown on how we're going to do our film festival today. We're going to announce the group, and we're going to play their film. You guys can cheer for it and everything. And then as soon as the film is over, I want the group to be a little bit prepared to come up front. And we're just going to very loosely explain a little bit about the triumphs that you experienced while working on the short film, as well as some of the challenges that you experienced while working on the short film. I'm sure there's a great mix of both. Things that you loved about it, things that you maybe didn't love so much about it, what you might do different next time. Those types of things, and I'll just have you guys grab the mic when you're up here to do so. And I'll also hook you up with the lav mic that I have here, just on a stick, so that way you have 2 sources of audio to record on it, and we'll just pass it around. Very loose, simple, easy format, and just a means for us all to share in the success of each other's projects. All right, with that, we're going to get started on some of the groups here. And so our first film that we have is called The Double, and this is from Audrey, Rachel, Sina, and Amy.
To be imagining things. Who's there? No.
Hi everyone. Let's go. I'm Adri. Obviously. Okay, so a pro, or like I'm doing pros and cons here. So a pro from this was that we all worked really well together, and we also were able to work very quickly. We thought it was going to take 2 days to film, and it actually ended up only taking 1 day, and we got a lunch break and finished early, so that was really good. We also obviously got to film just in one location, which was really beneficial. We thought there was no moves. A con, obviously this was filmed in an apartment, super small space, so the equipment was really hard to kind of maneuver around everything, and then also we had to bring it up the flights of stairs and the elevator to get it into the building. That was the main con. Honestly, it was really smooth. The filming day was really awesome. We had a lot of fun. We worked really well together. What else was I supposed to say? Is that all?
I don't know. I think we also all just like had our own value into the film. Like we just kind of each put in our own type of talent. So that was really helpful to have everyone. And Ethan helped out a lot too. Yeah, a lot. Yeah. Just, I don't know. You don't. Okay. Rachel, you're a fit.
I think basically we just had fun. It was great working with these girls. They are awesome. I mean, when I first started studying here, I'll be like, these girls are not serious. You know, what are they doing? They just come and act like, and yet they're getting all the good marks. But when I worked with them, I know that these girls are a bundle of talent, and it was great fun working with them, and it was awesome. So yeah, just like they already said, great work.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank you. No.
So, one, let's give it up for them. I have a couple quick questions. One, how did you guys pull off your weird trick?
Oh yeah.
If a magician is trying to reveal their secrets, how was the new trick pulled off?
That was you.
Well, I guess we just kept the camera in the same place, and then just like had it kind of behind, like so you couldn't see the camera in the mirror, and then we just like we filmed one shot with my head down, and then we filmed another shot with my head up, and then we just edited we masked them. Actually, Ethan did it, so, but we masked it together to make it. We all tried it, but he ended up killing it. So yeah, it went really well. Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes a in-camera trick can pull off better VFX than doing it in post. Question that I also want to ask: if you were to do it over again, what would you not do? And if you could do it over again, what would you repeat in the finishing process?
I don't know. I think I would have just discluded the fall because it kind of like was mixy when I was editing it because like I cut when I fell on like this foot, but then when I came up and I was holding myself, I was holding the other knee, so it just didn't really make sense. So like I had to kind of put like a cutaway in there to just make it not so jump cutty. So yeah, but what else did you want to repeat? I don't know, but I think.
Outside of that, if anybody else has any other questions that they want to ask, you can feel free to as well. If not, we'll just give another round of applause.
Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, excellent. Off to a good start. What I have listed as our group 2 is a film called Root of Time. This is Anas, Darren, and Ethan. So let's get the lights changed out.
Hey, what are you doing here?
It's a stupid tree. It's too uncomfortable. It won't move.
It's not the tree that needs to move, it's you.
Huh.
With this one, we choose to use anamorphic lens, and it was first time to using anamorphic. I have to drive 5 hours to get that lens and learn how to de-squeeze. When we shoot that, we discovered our shotgun mic is not working. So the audio, it wasn't that what we want. We used lav mics. It's good that we get it, but the lesson that I learned, test my equipments before shooting day. And what else, Ethan?
Oh, you're handing the mic off to me. Whoa, this comes with it.
Yeah, it's a 2-mic combo.
Yeah, no, there was a lot of things that were tough about this. The main one being the time restraint, because we wanted to shoot it all in one day, because we wanted to make sure we started off in daylight and kind of end with that sunset. So we had very limited time, and also with the weather, with it getting cold, we weren't exactly sure. It was like snowing at times that like we needed to pick the perfect day to get this, and we ended up getting a pretty decent one. If we had waited maybe like another hour or so, we actually would have had a way better sunset, but we didn't know, we couldn't trust it, so we had to go a little early on. Pros were, I don't know, it turned out good. It looks, I think the colors look really nice. A lot of the shots really nice. I think if we had maybe a bit of a better plan as to what the story was going into it, just to make more sense of it, but yet again, what we said going into it was like, it's up to the imagination of the audience. It's what you make of it. It kind of comes down to those words at the end, what you make of it. But yeah, okay.
Another thing, because it's outside, it's uncontrolled, so we cannot control the light. So it was really tricky to get the result. And on other hand, I forget. Okay, continue.
And then if I were to do it again, I would probably just add just maybe more to the story is what I would add. Maybe less fighting montage, and maybe like something else that happens, but that's just me. You go for it.
Yeah. When we shoot it at the end, if you saw Ethan, he went and he left his bag.
Yes.
And that wasn't intentional. And I told him, your bag, come and get it. I said, yeah, it will be good. If I want to redo it again, I will make cutaway to show that he left his thing next to that tree to maybe get better message. Wise man.
If we were to do it over again, yeah, we originally planned to have no dialogue at all. So we changed our minds with the edit, and well, at the end, those last couple shots were probably 10 minutes before we packed up. So we did that really quick just to get some dialogue and make the story make a little sense. So can anyone tell me what the story or the message is? Let's see if anyone's paying attention.
Go for it.
Not quite, but no, we're peaceful films. So the message basically was Ethan's leaving his baggage behind, and that's literally what happens. And he realizes that he can't fight himself, he needs to move on and leave the past in the past. And that's what my character was supposed to signify, I guess, telling him to move on. Yeah. Yeah.
For me, sometimes, yeah, that's right. We kept it like open so everyone can understand something differently. For me, I'm thinking like sometimes you will take a decision and you will insist and you will fight for it. Then suddenly you have to discover you have to move on and find something else. The life will move. Don't stick with it.
Yeah, no, I like that you guys left it somewhat open-ended. Like for me, I took into it the idea of accept the things that you can't change and just move on.
Yeah.
Right. So, and plus adding the bit of dialogue that wasn't intentional off the start gave it a character arc. Your character initially, very stubborn, trying to change the things he can't change. and with a little bit of guidance from the wise man walking through, moves on to a new path.
I agree.
Thank you.
Very cool.
Any questions? Yeah. Yeah. It's, I don't know what's the,
Peterborough.
it's like 4 or 5 hours trip going.
It was the cheapest one, and yeah, he had me message the guy on Marketplace because he wouldn't respond to an ask. So I had to be like the translator, but he drove out and got it.
Did it remain the cheapest after gas prices being factored in? Yeah. We got a question in the back. Oh, we have a part 2. Never mind.
No, it's optical because of the sun. And it was really hard because winter is coming and we are freezing and we need some sun, and it was crazy to get this. Yeah, I hope you like it.
Was there a part 3? Okay. Over to the back.
Matthew.
So at first it was unintentional because I just left the bag because I didn't feel like carrying it. But then when they all looked back at me, they're like, no, you can't. We got to redo the whole take. You got to take the bag with you. And I was like, think about it though. And they're like, okay, so we'll go with it. So we made it intentional after it already happened. So we'd have to reshoot anything.
Bob Ross, happy accidents.
Yeah, that's right.
There's a question over here.
No, we have the Motion Array subscription, so we bought it. Yeah. Thank you. That's what I was planning. I want to do Foley and add something that we have, like trouble communication with. Yeah, it was like there is sound effects. I bought it. It's not working. So next time we'll make something better. Yeah.
And the next group I have for group 3 is a film called Ranjan, and it's Shamkur, Rohan, and Lucas.
Rajnikant, the man, the legend. He doesn't walk, the ground moves for him. When he talks, villains forget their names. You know, people say I'm kinda like him.
Come on, superstar, say one of your lines.
Why are you doing this to me?
Because you're a freak, and I love messing with you.
Please, leave me alone.
I'm never gonna leave you alone.
Stop!
Lucky freak.
You should stand your ground next time. He only wins if you stay quiet.
Thanks. I'll try. Are you going home now?
Nah, I have to stay up late. I got so much assignment to do.
Okay, good luck.
Thank you. Take care. Bye.
Bye.
Still giving courage lessons now?
Leave me alone before I show you what real courage looks like.
Stay out of it, freak.
you decided to go over your walls. Freak's tougher than he looks.
I don't like bullies. Class dismissed. Stacy?
What happened?
I hope you enjoyed it. But I wasn't sure like I'm gonna get a reaction like this because I was not really happy with the end product.
Rohan, come up too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you just got it.
He's my other group member. We were only 2 people in the group. We made it work somehow. So I'm just gonna talk about the cons and pros.
Yeah, basically what we're looking for are what were the triumphs that you felt while going through the film, things that you thought worked great, and then things that were a struggle that didn't go as planned, those types of things.
Yeah, I think the biggest one was I got late to get my group members. By the time I tried to asking people to get into my group, everybody was already taken, but Rohan was available luckily, and we got together. But I chose something really complex for a 3-minute short period. So, and I wanted to finish the storyline completely in those 3 minutes. So I had to take a lot of scenes and a lot of shots to make it look bigger as well. And so starting from the beginning, the writing process and the short storyboarding and everything, it was challenging because the scenes were not coming in my mind. And also cast-wise, I tried looking for another Indian guy, but I couldn't find any. And also scheduling issues. And I also had 2 bullies originally written in the script. That too, due to scheduling, I couldn't get any. And so luckily, we planned for 2 days of shooting. And the first day, we got through it somehow. And there are some loopholes, like you don't see any people. It's a college scene, but you don't see any people. That was intentional, because I couldn't shoot with people on the first floor. I tried getting permission from security. They didn't do it. For the second day, I wanted to shoot at a different location, but again, due to the logistics of it, there were too many people in there, and I wanted to finish this thing as quickly as possible. But the second day of shooting was a little bit challenging for me because I was acting it, directing, producing, and doing the lighting, and everything at the same time. So I forgot a lot of shots to put in there, so there are some continuity issues in there. And then another challenge would be that a lesson I learned is don't leave stuff for the last moment, because this short film was due Tuesday and I edited it on Tuesday. So that's why it's not clean. But I think content is the king. If the story works, people are forgiving for the other stuff. And overall, I would say just don't be fearful of making mistakes. Just try the best you can, and you're gonna make mistakes and learn from them and keep moving forward. That's how you get better.
Cosign. Yeah, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Basically, we're looking for challenges, things that you loved about the process, things that you hated about the process.
biggest challenge was on the second day. On the first day, we had mostly an empty corridor. We were able to shoot quickly, but because it was the first time we were coming together, we were not able to shoot very fast. We were really slow with the scenes, setting up the scene, setting up the lighting. And I think we shot the first scene on day 1. And we were expecting to shoot much faster on day 2, but when we came there, it was so crowded, we couldn't set up. We were not able to get the audio right. Initially, we thought that let's do it. We can get the ambient sound, but later we realized that that's not going to work. People were passing through our scene. So that was the biggest challenge we faced during the shoot. And also, as he mentioned, the scheduling issues. Some days I had to go to work. Then when I was free, he had to go to work. Then we found a common day, and that was already too late. And that was the biggest challenge we had. The thing I loved the most is originally I am not so interested in scripted things, but this was the first time I was doing scripted video, so I enjoyed the process. It was my first time working under a director, and as he mentioned, on the final day he was directing, acting, because everything was coming all at him. He was not able to concentrate on one thing particularly, so that was the biggest challenge, and that's the biggest thing I loved. That's it.
Excellent. Any questions from anybody else out there?
Yep. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
But I would like to hear you share about the ways that you had with your test. Because I remember you
Yeah.
saying that you had a vision and you were frustrated because you couldn't get
Yeah. Actually, that's why I think the first part came up pretty good. The first scene is that we rehearsed a little bit. The first, like me slamming to the lockers. Yeah, we did that a lot of time. And but the second part, the complex part, that I wasn't sure how I'm gonna do it. So we were doing it. I was doing it on the spot at the time. But thing is, as I said, it's really complex. Like with complex in terms of shorts, because it's really editing a heavy action sequence, and I missed a lot of shots. And for the last final climax, we forgot to shoot it in 60 frames. It's in 24. That's why I couldn't. The way I imagined was to super extra slow, and as you mentioned, you said like sound is the key, but we messed that up because it was really hard to. As I said, your product's going to be as good as people who are involved in it, and if the people who are involved are not really passionate about that stuff or don't really care, it's gonna suffer. And I learned a lot of things personally as well. So, but at the end of the day, you make mistakes, learn from them, keep moving forward. If I have to mention, if I have to change anything,
Sure.
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, finish the thought.
It's just the cut, because as I said, I left it on Tuesday. I uploaded it at 11:59. It was due at 12, and I wasn't really happy with it. But that's just get to the next one. We'll do it better. Yeah.
That's why we have the 1 hour grace period.
I forgot.
The 11:59 upload. Question here?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
There are
loopholes.
There are ways you could do a parody, but that would be more than likely something that you would have to seek permission for to use the
Yeah.
clips into a release if you
Yeah.
were releasing it to the world on a larger scale.
Yeah, you gotta take some risks. It's okay. We'll find out. I'll edit it out. We'll do something else for the final release. Any other questions? Okay, thank you so much.
So our next film is called Crackdown. It's from King, Rachel, Shubham, and Tapan.
What? What are you talking about? Calm down. What? I can't understand.
Hello, Mr. Francis. My name is Agent Herman, and this is my partner Victor. May we come inside? Thank you. Quite an abode you have here.
Sorry about the mess. Wasn't expecting visitors.
No matter. Shall we sit and have some drinks?
What would you like to drink?
Glass of milk will do, thank you very much. Sure be nice to have some chocolate syrup to go with this, don't you think? That would be legal, wouldn't it?
Yes, of course.
A direct violation of Order IP 10.
Yes.
Till we meet again, Mr. Francis.
Uh, I hope you enjoyed it. So, can you believe that on the very first day we faced a lot of challenges, and also once everything was set up, then there was no milk. Then I have to rush to get the milk, the chocolates. So that's a learning we make. Like, so first day we did nothing, and that was surprised, right? So the things that supposed to be done in one day, it took 2-3 days. That was one of the challenges we faced. And apart from that, we have to shoot everything in the night. So we have to take more 3-4 days again to do all the night scene and all. And lighting was a bit tough to do for that particular scene. And yes, that was all the challenges we faced. And one thing we missed from this one that I actually want to add was that the one like news reporter announcing that the government has banned on the chocolate powders, choco powders. And that was one of the things was missing in this part. So if I can get the second time to reshoot, I would like to add that one. And apart from that, it went well. And yeah, that was the first time we were doing together as a teamwork. Our team worked really well. And also King was our producer and scriptwriter for this one. He's not here today. He's not feeling well, he's sick. So yeah, so that was all about our film.
So yeah, like Shubham mentioned, there was supposed to be a voiceover at the starting, which will say like chocolate is like banned, so you can't have it. But there was some problem with that, but still. So that was one thing we would like to add if we get the chance to do it again. Any questions, anything?
Why the hate on chocolate milk?
I don't know. I think King was trying to do like commentary on government doing some schemes or something. So it was in comedic tone. He was doing with chocolates, so that's why.
Yeah, I figured it's metaphorical too. I just wanted to, give a shout out to chocolate milk here. Actually, I kind of like that there wasn't the exposition of like saying that the chocolate milk has been banned, because it then led you on this path as to like, why is he hiding all the chocolate milk? And eventually it is revealed in the scene. So
yeah,
very cool. Any questions from the crowd?
Sure.
Nice observation. I was wondering if anyone from here can able to find that, and you did it. I was still. Yeah, that was continuity error. Yeah.
My bigger concern was King doing his splashdown on the bed at the end and not knowing the chocolate milk has been removed. Like, what was the plan? Great film, guys. Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, moving along, we've got group number 5. This is How to Sell a Fortune from Michael, Aiden, Cameron, and Mateo. Woohoo!
Well, shit.
Hey, you over there, hey.
Me?
Yeah, you sad sack. I got something to offer you. Hey, you over there, get over here.
Can I help you with something?
No. I'm here to help you.
Okay.
Let me guess. You got fired today?
Yeah, good guess.
Well, that was no guess at all, dear boy. Have you ever heard of the mystic arts?
I see what this is. Look, I don't really believe in that sort of thing, so sorry to waste your time.
It's a shame. Such wasted potential. What a waste of fortune.
Did you say fortune? Like money?
Yes, and lots of it. But you're not a believer in the mystic arts. Carry on with your day.
Well, wait a second. How much money are we talking here?
More than you know how to spend. I can paint you a clearer picture, but it'll take a full session. Are you interested?
Just one session? Yeah, alright. What harm could one session do anyway?
That's the spirit, but I'll let you know I do charge for my services, but you can think of it as an investment. And with the amount of money I see in your future, you're pretty much robbing me.
Well, this is all I have.
Now that'll do. Let's begin.
Hey, it's my favorite cousin. You! I just got evicted from my apartment. I've been coming here for the past 3 weeks and I've gotten nothing out of it. I want all my money back.
Come on, hey, come, cool your jets. Your fortune will come. You just have to be patient. You have to be patient. I will teach you. You have to be patient. Remember, I can see the future. I know your fortune. I know what's coming. Remember, I can see the future. Calm down. It's okay.
Oh yeah, well, did you see this coming? How am I gonna get my money back now? You there! Yes, you. Come on down.
I mean, some cons, some triumphs. I would say I'll start off with some cons since I was doing the boom mic and stuff. There was lots of kind of background noise that was really difficult to deal with at points, so I can help but nitpick at that. But I really do think the triumph was how well the improv to just kind of making it up as we went along, as I thought it was pretty funny. And it turned out a lot better than I maybe anticipated from originally. So there's that.
To follow up on the improv part, so I would like to bring some insight into that. The Cameron sniffing it, we were just gonna do him yoinking the money really, really quick. Oh, I wasn't talking on mic. We were gonna yoink the money really, really quick, and that's all. Then was it you or was it me? I forget. One of us was just, one of us said, you should sniff the money. And then everyone was, yeah, sniff the money, do that. And I'm glad that joke landed. And then the second thing was that had a lot more parts to it. We just had so much fun with like that comedic aspect because me and Cameron were kind of goofing around and Michael was doing it too, and everyone was kind of enjoying that part. It's a shame we had him airboxing the ball, but that didn't make the cut. Like you said, yeah, the audio, with the cars going over, that was a bit of a challenge, but I think we got it good. Had to learn some audio tricks in DaVinci to pull that off. And yeah, it was just a really fun experience. It went really well, surprisingly. One of the challenges that you and I can both agree on was the cold. It got surprisingly cold on the underpass, but we were able to finish it after like 4 hours of freezing, and I think it was well worth it. Another challenge would be, I said the audio, another challenge would just be getting everything there in the first place, because we didn't have much of a ride. We had Michael's mom, who MVP out of all of it. She helped bring all the equipment there, and some of us here and there from each location, and that went well. I would like to thank Cameron and Michael, who are not here right now, but they're here in spirit. Sadly, Cameron couldn't be here. We had that money clip laced, so he's kind of recovering from that. And now, but they had a lot of great ideas. Michael was a really good director. He helped me out because I was cameraman for that. He helped me with his vision of the camera. He had a lot of good shots in mind. And Aiden, you did a great job being a Michael stand-in, where you went like this for certain shots. That was great. And yeah, it was just a really fun experience.
It's okay. Just hold on.
Yeah. Another thing was the orb we had. It was actually supposed to have batteries in it that like made it like turn on and look cool, but the batteries, even though they were fresh, they didn't work. So I guess maybe some preparation into that, and adding on to the cold. It was a lot worse than maybe what we stated because we were freezing. We didn't go inside once, and maybe we could have prepared for the cold a little bit better, even though we all had gloves, everything. It was still terrible. But I think all the fun of it just paid out, and after Cameron moving around like that, I think he warmed up. So, yeah. But in general, it was super fun, though, and I would definitely like to do that sort of thing again.
Was the runaway shot one of the improvs? And part two, what's your favorite piece of footage that got left on the cutting room floor?
So the running away thing, it was semi-improv. When we were kind of directing, me and Michael were kind of directing Cameron on what we needed. I did a stupid run like this, and Cameron, we never like officially said that's what you should do, but then Cameron went above and beyond and did his own chicken run that was absolutely hilarious. And we'll go back and forth. My favorite cut footage was in the orb scene. I already talked about the airboxing. What I didn't talk about was we got a really close-up shot of Cameron leaning down, going on the orb, and that was supposed to be like his final shot. He finished his session. That's how he ends his session, is by kissing the orb. And yeah, there was a lot of orb improv shots that were cut, but it still landed. It was still hilarious.
I mean, honestly, it was kind of hard to put a difference on like what was improv and not, because majority really was kind of improv. Like we had it as like a base to follow along with, but it wasn't like, we used it more as inspiration to like how to follow a storyline, and it came off more naturally when we started doing it. So if there was any like moment I liked the most was when Cameron was doing his very exaggerated thing, and then it cuts to Michael's straight face, like really kind of confused. And also another thing was the psychic like logo, it being misspelt. That was intentional, but we decided to do it last second because we thought, we thought it would just kind of be funny. So we kind of like left it up to anybody to interpret. But
awesome. not so much a question, but one of the things that I noticed when watching the film the first time was when Cameron was doing his bird dance over the magical ball, right? The next thing it cuts to after the reaction shot with the deadpan is 3 weeks later, and I was just shy of expecting like it to cut back to him still doing the bird dance.
You know what? That would have been actually amazing.
Because he talks about like, I'll give you your fortune, but it'll take one session, right?
Yeah.
And then the one
Yeah,
session is 3 weeks of this.
Yeah, no.
Any questions from the audience?
No questions at all? Ooh. Fine. Yep. Yeah. I'm gonna put some behind the scenes. Sorry. Michael, we all heard him go, "You," as he spotted Cameron. That, we were not, Michael is a surprisingly great actor. He landed all his lines like near perfect. I mean, he was like the writer, director, everything. He knew what he wanted out of it, so that was great. But him screaming, "You," we, behind the camera, me and Aiden were just like, damn, okay. You have a question? I think it was you. You came up with the great idea that, if you notice, he went pretty far into the tunnel before he gets called out. And we thought that was a really funny touch that I just didn't see this guy sitting right there. Yeah. So that was great. Yeah, no, it was just a really fun experience. It was really good.
Okay, on to team number 6. This is the Phoenix, Rebecca, Anthony, Marcus, Lily, and Peyton.
Aren't you supposed to wait for your partner?
She's late. She's not my partner. Plus, I got special permission.
Let me guess. Former teacher's pet?
Today you were brought in for questioning about embezzling funds from your own company.
Why are you questioning me if you know I'm involved?
I think you have information on a certain crime boss.
Why would I know anything about a crime boss? That's kind of a far cry from embezzlement.
This is you with a member of the Phoenix's organization.
Wait, how do you...
Because when we arrested a guy named Andy, he told us that he was that you were giving him money so that he could give it to the Phoenix. Detective Alisosa, undercover.
Detective Lawrence, annoyed. Now, Miss Canning. Can I help you?
Miss Canning just seems so formal. Can I call you Lila? I'm gonna call you Delilah.
Back to business, please.
Did you guys just meet?
Even if it was our first time meeting, it shouldn't affect our ability working together. It's about to get good. Detective Sosa, how long have you been working for our department?
A few years, give or take.
And how long has it been since you started looking into the Phoenix's organization?
A lot longer. The Phoenix killed my parents.
I had nothing to do with that.
Of course you did. You were only laundering money for the Phoenix at the time.
You'll have no proof of that.
Actually, I think I have it on my desk.
Look, I'll give you whatever you need, whatever information. Can we do a written deal? In writing. It needs to be in writing.
As long as you get us closer to the evidence we need to get to the Phoenix identity, shouldn't be a problem.
An officer will be by shortly to escort you to your office for evidence. Nice job on the Morse code.
All right, thank you everyone for watching and applauding our film here. It was really fun to record. Lily, Rebecca, and Peyton did a great job at acting. Peyton did a really good role being, a criminal and just being rude and stuff. And she's very, very bright, so I did not expect that out of her. A lot of things went right, a lot of things went wrong. It was unfortunate only learning the camera a couple of times, messing around with the settings and everything. So you could probably tell some of the quality there was missing, a lot of little fuzziness happening. And I had a lot of fun doing color correction. Thank you so much, Ryan. That helped a lot, specifically for the final editing of this. So thank you so much.
One of the challenges for me, I wrote it. I originally had 10 pages of the script. So I had to get it down to I got it down to 5. And even then, he still went a little bit over the allotted time frame. But other than that, yeah, it was really fun to actually get to write a short film and make it. And I really enjoyed working with our group. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I don't really have much to add. I did the audio. It was good, I'd say. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions?
I like that you guys were able to keep an interesting film locked into one small location. Nothing outside of the interrogation room. You didn't need to expand beyond that. Very cool. Any questions from our audience?
Actually,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There was also a little bit of the more 10 pages is it was revealed that Lila was the Phoenix. So she was tricking the 2 detectives to get a deal for immunity. And yeah.
I was going to ask, what's the most challenging thing you had to cut from those 10 pages? And that might be.
Yeah, that was probably it. Marcus had a role in it, but we had to cut him for time. Yeah, but it was really fun, and I hope to actually, this was developed as a show. I love watching cop shows and stuff, and when they have a really, not really unexpected twist, but sort of unexpected, that's really where I love watching TV and film.
Did the love for cop shows have the badge on hand, or is that something that you had to hunt out for the props?
I think Marcus had it from a previous project.
So a shared love for cop shows. All right, excellent. Good work, guys. And okay, our 7th student film is Stereopoly, and this is from Stephen, Farzan, and Tyler. Stereo.
I don't make history soon, then I'll be history. I know he'll do something horrid to me, but not everyone lives forever. Słuchaj, impossible miasto.
Hello, Charles. What kind of absurd idea did you come up with this time?
Well, you know how there's so many versions of Monopoly? Well, how come there's never been a sequel?
Mm-hmm. And what's your solution to this problem?
I'm calling it Stereopoly, because we all know sequels outdo the original in every way. I just need some of your special touch to scrape the dust off this board. Please. Please.
All right. But turn around. I know you humans are the sneaky type.
Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that. That was Stereopoly. It's had quite the long road from start to finish here. I remember writing the original story kind of as a love letter to the urban legends out there like Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and of course internet legends like Polybius, creepypastas and stuff. This is definitely a new urban legends, all about board games. Unfortunately, I was not able to do the filming of it, but I did help with pre- and post-production. So to Tyler, unfortunately, he can't make it tonight. So here you go.
So yeah, what he said was all true. We didn't really, he couldn't really film it, but he did help with all the pre-production and even post-production work. But I did all the filming. And special shout out to my friend Jay Plumby, who played the devil, as you can see in the film. And yeah, there were some troubles with it. Like one trouble of it was we forgot to record the audio. Like I was supposed to say in that one scene, in that one close-up scene with the text behind it, it was supposed to be those words but backwards. But I decided to do voiceover with it, you know, to enhance it. And I mean, a lot of the pros, honestly, were the location we did was great, and I really love the color grading as well. I didn't want to make it all black and white because that would be too simple. I wanted to be a mixture of like black and noir and color as well. And another thing is that the opening and credits were done by him, and the audio was done by Tyler, who couldn't show up today. And and the space we did have for the filming was very small, but we pulled through it, and it was a perfect location too, because it feels like the character was in like a tight space and was too stressed out, you know, kind of like a visual storytelling in a way. So yeah.
Whoa, that's okay. It's a mic drop kind of day. So, you made this sequel to Monopoly with Stereopoly. We saw the to be continued. Can we expect a sequel to this?
It definitely depends on feedback if enough people like it. The original script was about 11 pages or so, and we actually had 3 friends who discovered the Stereopoly board, and most of them do not survive after playing it. Of course, you know, it's a haunted board game, you know, enhanced by the devil. So, if people are interested, there could be a sequel. The doors are always open.
And yeah, but we decided to make it, that whole scene was just the opening of it, and it was supposed to take place back in like the 1920s, but we decided to change it up a bit because finding those locations and doing a 10-page script would have been, I would have dropped this program. I would have been like, nope, I'm done. You may take my maternity leave. I'm just kidding.
What were the gems that got left on the cutting room floor from the 10-page script?
Well, from the 10-page script, we had 3 friends. They had different personalities. Like, one of them was a slacker, the other one was the big brother of the slacker, and then you had the failed businessman. Actually, we had a whole bit where they would choose their Monopoly pieces. They'd have to bring their own because the board didn't come with it. One of them wanted to take the top hat, but they immediately took it away from them, saying, nope, I played a top hat. The top hat player did not survive.
Which pieces do you guys play as?
Usually I like to play as the cat.
To be honest, the Monopoly versions I have, the Monopoly version I had, all the pieces were missing, so I decided to pick like a chess or checkers piece, but like there are other versions of Monopoly, but like there is this, I don't remember. I remember this one version of Monopoly playing it. I just don't remember what version it was. I think it was Mario themed or something.
Nice. Yeah, been a minute since I played, but usually I think I go for the car. Hands in the audience here. We'll go Marcus in the back first.
That was actually my friend's own costume. They have it at home, and they messaged me saying I have this one black robe instead of a black hoodie, and when I saw a picture of it, I was like, that's perfect. And those long gloves with long nails on them, that's perfect. That is a perfect way to describe the devil. They're not someone mischievous or have horns with a pitchfork in their hands. And it's just like a mysterious individual. Kind of reminded me of like Death from the Final Destination films, you know? Or from Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. My favorite part has to be that one shot of like the dice landing on Snake Eyes, because I thought that was, and the lighting was perfect. I was like, this is a beautiful shot. This will be perfect. And Steven even suggested that this would be perfect for the credits. And I was like, okay, let's do it.
Agreed.
And he's not
Strong
wrong.
shot to land on.
Yeah. Probably acting and editing, maybe not the filming part. I mean, the filming part was kind of enjoyable, but there was like difficulty because we only had a minimal small space. It was like this wide. It was like a little rectangle basically. But other than that, I mean, it was fine. We did great. Okay. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I mean, it was technically his work, but I did credit him for it, and I even asked him if I could change it up a bit, and he allowed it because I can't just change it up a bit without his permission. I got ask. Yeah. Mhm. You should have seen our poster.
Okay, so that's it for the original films, but we do have a student film from first year as one last bonus to round out our show. So here is a continuity project from, sorry, I already forgot already. Is it John David or David John? John David, good, I've got it right on screen.
Welcome to another episode of The Domestic Monster.
Okay, everyone, first things first, we've had an anonymous complaint about safety in the workplace during the last couple episodes. Let's see here, it's been sent to legal, and it turns out that the Health and Safety Act doesn't apply to monsters. So now that's all taken care of. Where's your lav mic? Come on, Murray, these things don't grow on trees, let's go. You are always losing that thing. Here, let's get that on you there. Okay, that looks good. Test it out. How's that sound? Good? All right. All right, look. I know you have some concerns about the way the episodes have gone the last few weeks. So this week, we're going to do something simple and safe. We're going to do how to vacuum. How does that grab you? Yeah? Ah, that's the spirit. Nice. All right, everyone, places, let's get this. Let's make some magic.
Today, we'll be vacuuming underneath this chair. Here is the vacuum we'll be using. First, you'll want to choose your vacuum head. Because we're cleaning a small space, Murray's going to use the small built-in attachment. Next, pull out the power cord and plug it into a power receptacle. Now turn the power on. It's a good idea to check the suction level of your vacuum before you begin.
Hurry! Don't worry, buddy, I'm coming. Oh, Murray, let's get you out of there.
Is the lav mic okay?
You looked a little different in the film.
Yeah, I was going incognito.
So what were the things that you really enjoyed about the process? Some things that went wrong while doing the...
the two main things are kind of the same. Because I didn't do it with a group. I ended up I'm in Guelph and driving back.
Shout out Guelph.
Yeah. So, I had the bright idea I would just do it all myself at home. So that was a challenge, doing all that. Shooting a puppet by yourself is not easy, as it turns out. When there's no one behind the camera and you're the one doing all this stuff, that was a little challenge. But at the same time, in the end, it was pretty rewarding. Doing it in your house with the family there. I mean, it's only a 3-minute thing, but it took days. And so the living room was dominated by equipment for days, and kids and dogs walking through shots, or really confused because you do stuff out of sequence, and if your 10-year-old's there and they don't get it, they'll just be like, what the, in the middle of the shot, because it doesn't make sense to them what's going on. Yeah.
So how long have you been working with puppets?
Well, those particular ones, the green one, I've had for about 16 years. So, yeah, he's an old puppet. Yeah.
Does he go through that kind of abuse for 16 years?
No, actually, that's the worst abuse it's ever taken. Was just for shooting that. There were other shots too. I mean, you can only get so much in the 3 minutes. I closed the window on him, and there were a few other planned ones that didn't happen. Yeah.
We got questions from our audience, so let's start front and work our way to the back. Or what you think, that's fine. We'll go Marcus first then.
I'm pretty much a Muppet, and yeah, just Jim Henson probably informed 80% of my makeup, so that would be the inspiration. And I was just trying to make my kids giggle, and so when they saw the final thing, I got the giggle. So
that's great. I thought you were going to ask him what's his favorite puppet.
That's hard to pick.
All right, go.
This was just a Z6. Yeah, but I have that Panasonic, and all I really knew when I started this is I wanted that puppet at the camera. I don't know. I just found that idea funny, just him with the headphones up. That was actually the hard, you talk about challenges and troubles, getting those headphones to stick to that puppet was actually the hardest thing. It was all like safety pins and duct tape, and it still was all crooked. But yeah, that was kind of the only shot I really wanted was him at that camera, and I bought that camera like 20 years ago, and it's been sitting in the attic for years now, so it got some use finally.
Jennifer?
Yes. Well, without getting into too much detail, it's a WSIB thing. I was involved in a pretty bad accident. Probably see some of the scarring and stuff. So I needed to be retrained for a new job. So, yeah, here we are. Yeah, that's definitely true. Way back in the day, I went to the University of Guelph for drama, and then did not go into drama at all. But if I had to choose, instead of going into drama, I think this is actually what I would have preferred to have done in the first place. So yeah, here now.
Excellent. Go for it.
Favorite Muppets
Yes.
movie? Oh, it's got to be the original. The Muppet movie is the best one, and then, I mean, the Muppet Christmas Carol is incredible. But anything post Jim Henson's passing isn't the same. So, Muppets Most Wanted, it's got some parts to it that are all right, but.
All right, any other questions? Yeah.
No, I never have. I might. My son is convinced he'll become a millionaire by being a YouTuber.
I would watch sequels to this. Yeah, I want to know how he ended up in the dishwasher. So.
Yeah. Essentially, the formula. I mean, this is dating me, but the formula is essentially like the Super Dave Osborne show, right? It's just something bad happens to the guy at the end of every episode. That's really all I was going for.
Question King.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was improv, just with a couple seconds in between each line. And I that clipboard I'm holding, I actually had a bunch of the lines written on it, so I just look at it and read a line. And then, I mean, most of the Muppet stuff or the puppet stuff, I would just do different expressions with him and then figured it out in editing.
Excellent. Yeah, great stuff. All right, excellent. And with that concludes our film festival for today. So we've clapped for everybody individually. I want you guys to give yourselves all a giant round of applause for a perfect semester and wrapping it up really well done with a great film festival. Thank you guys so much for coming out. Happy to have you here. I want those group pictures. And that wraps everything up. Cheers.
He wanted to be the #1 country singer in America, writing songs in motel rooms and playing in small-town bars where nobody knew his name. She wanted to be the biggest pop star in America, singing for strangers, chasing a dream she could almost touch, but never quite reach. Then one night he saw her. 2 voices, 1 dream. Together they found what they were both searching for, each other. Their songs touched millions. Their names lit up every stage. From small town shows to stadium lights, they rose together. A story about dreams and love.